State of Louisville Live, Jacob Lane, Presley Meyer. It's been a very bad day. We're going to sing a sad song, and hopefully it will turn it around. We'll see. Can't make any guarantees, but Louisville drops their second loss of the season to Tennessee this time. In very similar fashion to last year's result to Tennessee, 83-62, Louisville's lowest scoring output of the season. And I believe they're obviously their largest margin of loss this season. So not a great night, but we'll get into all of that as we go on. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for doing so. Go ahead and subscribe right here below us. If you're watching in the little box either on your television, you can do it with your remote. If you're watching on your computer, your phone, just click the little button. Go ahead and subscribe to the State of Louisville for more great content. Lots of long-form podcasts, short-form content, all of that. As I mentioned, I'm Jacob Lane. That's Presley Meyer. Presley, before this game, how are you doing? Because that answer is different than probably how you're doing now, I would assume.
I would say before about 5:30, the vibes were high. The vibes were very high, Jacob. And then I texted you. I think, I don't know how legal this is, but I was in park, so I would say that it's relatively legal for those folks that are out there that like to call us out about our phone usage. Whether it be wives or some man with 2 followers,
Just you, I think.
tagging Kentucky State Police. No, Jacob doesn't like my driving, but it is what it is.
It is, yeah. Yeah, anyways.
But I for whatever reason, I think it gave me a little perspective, though. But for whatever reason, I'm coming home from work. I stayed late at work, and I was like, it should be an easy commute. And I'm talking maybe 5 minutes into my commute, I am just stopped dead still in the middle of the highway. It ended up being, once I got up past it, it was about 20, 25 minutes. But once I got up past it, I realized it was a very serious accident. And you know, there are much more important things in life than getting home and watching the game. But we had the magical tones of Paul Rogers bringing us into the game.
Sweet serenation.
Sweet serenation from Paul Rogers. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an ideal start, and then obviously we got home, and so my wife and kids hadn't been fed, and you know, the whole thing, right? I mean, it's grumpy season, right? Like everybody this time of year is just grumpy. We're all cranky. It gets dark.
I'm very cranky.
It gets dark early. It's dark when you wake up. It's cold. It's just not a good time for like good vibes. So that's why we turned to college basketball around these parts.
You know what else we turn to for good vibes?
Surfside.
That's exactly right. Shout out to our friends at Surfside for bringing you State of Louisville Live, as well as Main Event. We were out there this past week for the pep rally for St. X ahead of the Main Event Classic with Made Hoops, big-time high school basketball that led up to this game. And we will be back at Main Event next week for the Louisville Football Bowl game for the official watch party with the State of Louisville Live. Vince Lococo, Keith Arutoff, some friends pop out there over to Main Event off Blankenbaker Parkway. But let's just dive into this one because as you mentioned, it was ugly. We got to rip the Band-Aid off here. Yeah. 83-58 final score, as I mentioned in this one. And we're going to get into a lot of the details, and I think we're going to probably disagree on a lot this evening. I'm just going to go ahead and get out on that because I look at this game, having done this post-game show now and the Arkansas post-game, and I see a lot of similarities. And I know a lot of folks in the comments are already kind of sounding off on over on the YouTube channel at the State of Lou. If you are trying to find that, jump on.
Leave a comment. I just got a haircut. What do you guys think? Let's hear it in the comments.
Also, I need to know what the karaoke song is, either for you or for Presley Meyer. But it's a concerning couple of games on the road against SEC opponents in the top 25. Teams that needed a win. Both Arkansas came into that Louisville game needing a win. Tennessee comes into this Louisville game after dropping 3 in a row needing a win. And Tennessee played like the team tonight that wanted this game from start to finish. Now, listen, when you find out 10 minutes before the game that Michael Brown Jr. was not going to play and that he was going to be out with a back injury that he suffered at some point during the Memphis game, not sure. I watched that game start to finish. Don't remember really him getting hurt or anything noticeable at least. But he is out, and so you're trying to kind of sub Woolley into the starting lineup. Adrian Woolley gets to start, and you're trying to kind of figure out what you're going to do on the fly here. Sans your starting point guard, and that's to me where a lot of things really fell apart here. 16 turnovers for Louisville tonight. Presley, 11 from Tennessee. And really the dagger from those turnovers is the 21 points off of those turnovers that Tennessee scored. One of the many differentiators tonight for Louisville versus Tennessee. But give me your overall thoughts of this game. You don't have to dive into the specifics of each half, but just give me overall, as you watch this from start to finish, just your thoughts of kind of where you were going as Louisville got down, tried to come back, got down again, and then really, really, really got down late in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it was a carbon copy of last year, right? I mean, the game plan, you have different players, right? Tennessee started, I want to say they started 4 different players than they did last year in last year's game, maybe 5 different players. Was Boswell on this team, or am I just dreaming that up?
Boswell was, but I think he came off the bench.
Okay.
Akpara was on the team last year.
Akpara was the one. So Louisville starts 5 new guys. Tennessee starts 4 new guys, 5 new guys, whatever it was. And it doesn't really matter, right? Because Pat Kelsey has his style of play, and Mark, why am I forgetting his last name? Tennessee's coach.
Rick Barnes.
Mark Barnes was what I was going for there. Rick Barnes has his style of play, and so far, Rick Barnes' style of play has won out by far, right? I mean, I think Louisville has the pieces in place to play exactly the way that Pat Kelsey likes to play. But when they get taken away from that, and they did against Arkansas, they did against Cincinnati in a sense, but I don't think Cincinnati was talented enough to enforce their will for 40 straight minutes. But obviously they did again tonight against Tennessee. I mean, look, 9 times out of 10, literally the statistics will tell you 9 times out of 10, Pat Kelsey's style of play with this type of roster is going to win out and more often than not win comfortably. But when it gets bad, it can get ugly. And we saw that again tonight. I mean, again, a carbon copy. If you had to guess, I went back and pulled up last year's box score. Do you remember what the score was to last year's game?
Oh, man, I looked at this right before the game started. I don't remember the exact score, but I know that Tennessee won roughly by 20. Was it like 77-55?
That's correct. That was the exact score. And this year it's 83-62. Yep. Very similar, right? I think this year Tennessee hit a few more shots than they did last year, and Louisville missed a few more shots. But ultimately, you come in, you come into this game with a plan in place to play around Michael Brown, and you learn right before the game that that's not a thing. I think that puts Louisville in a terrible position, and then his direct backup, Kobe Rogers, gets essentially stepped on in the face in the first half and doesn't really play. In the face. He didn't really play much in the second half. And so,
to come back, and I'm not a doctor by any means. I think we all know that. But when he's looking and trying to get the stars out of his eyes, I probably should have not come back in for that 2 possessions that he did.
Yeah, I guess they were just trying to see if they could get some run out of him. But I mean, look, Kobe Rogers was very impactful when he was in the game in the first half. Not having him in the second half sucks a butt. It is what it is. But ultimately, kind of came into the game and was that facilitator that Louisville needed. But you got to get more out of the point guard spot. And I think the other thing that you have to get more out of is the 4 spot. I mean, we talked about this prior to the Memphis game, that Louisville needed Javon Hadley and Kenai Roos to step up in a major way, and they did. They were really good against Memphis. Probably the best that Louisville got out of the 4 spot.
Right.
Not at all the case. Tonight against Tennessee. I mean, Javon Hadley basically had what? He had 2 field. I mean, I could tell you. I don't know why I'm guessing. Well, in the first half. In the first half, he had 2 field goal attempts. Neither were good. One was an air ball 3, right?
Yep.
First half, 0 for 2, 2 rebounds, and a turnover in 12 minutes. Javon Hadley has to be one of your 4 or 5 best players on the team. You need to see more out of him. Louisville came out of halftime with the plan of getting into the paint, and the way that they were trying to do that was feeding the ball to Javon Hadley in the low post. And for the first few possessions, it was pretty successful, but Tennessee quickly adjusted. I think that the problem that Louisville will continue to run into is when you run up against a team that has two things, they're really going to struggle. Number one is size. When I don't think Louisville is a small team, right? Like
Nope.
there were comments made tonight by Jimmy Dykes that I don't agree with, that Ryan Conwell is a small player. I mean, he's 6'3", 200 and something pounds. I wouldn't call him a small player necessarily, but compared to Nate Amend, of course, yes, he's small. But compared to what we're used to in both the Chris Mack, Rick Pitino eras, even in the Kenny Payne era, Louisville has large guards, right? Like across the board, they're pretty big, with the exception of if you have Hadley at the 4 or the 5. But ultimately, number one, it's size, and number two, it's the opposing team having the ability to dictate the pace. And Pat Kelsey spent the entirety of the first half trying to speed things up, and Tennessee did everything that they could to buck things up. Every time the ball went through the basket, they grabbed the ball and handed it to the ref. They grabbed it and threw it out of the way. Tennessee got a technical for this because they were messing with the ball too much, right? Pause. And so I think that Louisville has to find a way to circumvent that. When they were able to get the pace up, that's when they were able to kind of stay in the game. I think the reason why you saw the game at 4 or 5 points late in the first half was because Louisville was able to dictate the pace at points, and they were able to get what they wanted at times on offense. Ultimately, defensively, Tennessee was freaking fantastic. They were really, really good on defense. If they play that kind of defense for the SEC, they absolutely have a chance of winning the conference and being a top 2-3 seed. I absolutely believe that. But overall, narrative-wise, big picture-wise, Tennessee came into this game absolutely needing a win, in dire need of a win, and getting a quad 1 win that this probably will not fall in the quad 2 territory for Tennessee regardless. And they seized the opportunity. They were the better team tonight, and I mean, hats off to them.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, particularly when you're talking about some of the, deficiencies so far that Louisville has shown. Or I shouldn't say deficiencies, but some of the things that Louisville has shown a bit of vulnerability around: length, athleticism, physicality. I thought Arkansas and Tennessee games very eerily similar in terms of how Arkansas and Tennessee dominated start to finish. However, I think about how they went about that was vastly different. Arkansas played around the perimeter and were able to use what Trevon Brazile did to open things up for lobs, to open things up for Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas to get to the bucket. Whereas tonight, I thought in the first half, Jalen Carey, you had JP Estrella, you also had Felix Okpara, and then, with some of their guards, when they did score, they got downhill and they got into the lane and they scored around the rim. Louisville's bigs had an incredibly difficult time tonight adjusting to pick and roll switches, trying to find their man, over switching, late to recover. Frew, Zugris, Khalifa, all three very guilty of it. It was at times hard to watch, in fact, and that's why Jalen Carey looked like a combination of Sidney Curry and Draymond Green out there, like the most optimized version of Sidney Curry that you could get, just slamming the ball down every single time he got the opportunity. Where I disagree with you is that I think that where Louisville got back into the game at the end of the first half was very much about Louisville did speed the pace up, and Tennessee did take some bad shots. But when you go back and you look at the statistics, I mean, it really was Tennessee just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from three. They were 1 of 8 at the end of the first half, 13% three-point shooting. They could not get anything to go, and they had plenty of open looks. I think their only first half three, if I'm not mistaken, was the Nate Ament three early in the game. And in the second half, I remember saying to myself, this 1 for 8 shooting will not hold. And in the second half, Tennessee continued to do what they did, using the inside to open up the outside shot. And it opened up plenty of opportunities for Jacoby Gillespie. He absolutely feasted on this defense in the second half. I think he scored, what did he end up with finishing in this game with 21 points or something like that? 23 points.
23, yeah.
The majority of those points, 20 of those came in the second half. So he got a lot of free throws. He got a lot of three-point shots. But at the end of the first half, Louisville was very much playing the beneficiary of Tennessee missing three-point shots and with them missing free throws. Jalen Carey could not hit a free throw to save his life. To some of the comments, though, I want to go back to this. I saw this one early in the show here, that it's the 4 spot that was the glaring weakness. You mentioned tonight that oh goodness gracious, you were just talking about Javon Hadley and some of the struggles that he
Sure.
had. Comes out in the second half, airballs that three, but then comes back and you see a little tiny the Clemson Javon Hadley just for a
Sure.
few possessions where he takes a smaller guy, gets in the lane, gives him that little jump hook, looked great. But time and time again, when Tennessee was playing these lineups with Dwayne Brown and Nate Ament, kind of at the 3 and the 4, I just do not understand what Pat Kelsey was doing with Javon Hadley and with Isaac McNeely getting the matchup with Nate Ament. I would have loved to have seen him go with the physicality of Case and Pryor or try to muck things up for Ament because, while Ament didn't score a lot, Press, he had his way with rebounding and getting the ball up the floor, getting into the lane. You saw that play that they showed the replay of where he threw the court pass, the corner shot. I don't think he hit that three, but you just saw him kind of find pockets of the game to control without necessarily scoring. But time and time again, when he did score, it was just because he had Isaac McNeely guarding him. And there was just not even a remote chance of that. Were you at all surprised, disappointed with the lack of adjustment at the 4 spot in particular with Nate Ament tonight and how they continue to match up with, Isaac McNeely and not go out there and give Hadley or somebody else an opportunity to sit and Pryor, some of the other pieces off the bench to come in and provide some physicality? Can I read? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, man, I don't really get it. I mean, Isaac McNeely played more minutes than anybody else on the team tonight. And, I mean, clearly he hasn't had it. We know that Pat Kelsey probably, to a fault, has, especially with players he really trusts, has just kind of let guys work through it. Yeah. And I think my initial instinct is that's what tonight was, right? Was just like how we talked about when things kind of got a little too close for comfort against who was Louisville playing when we gave Michael Brown the ball. Indiana. Things got a little too close for comfort against Indiana. Everybody's saying take Michael out, put Kobe in, put somebody else in besides Michael. He doesn't have it today. PK calls, coming out of a timeout, draws up a play for Michael Brown, and that really propels Louisville to a solid finish. I think that there is a little bit of that tonight, right? Letting Isaac play through it. But look, he could not defend the 3s and 4s for Tennessee. And it was readily apparent. I think you could hide that a little bit last year and the year before with Isaac McNeely because he could slide into the 2 spot. Or he had so much value on the offensive end that you could just make it work. Tennessee defended him so well, running him off the 3-point line, making him shoot tough threes all night. But also, Isaac McNeely is just in a slump. I mean, he was 1 for 7. I think he finally made his last 3 tonight. But he had a stretch where he was like 0 for 11 or 0 for 12 from 3. And it was to the point, Ryan Conwell does this a little bit too. Michael Brown obviously does this quite a bit, where it felt like some of the shots were a little bit more forced. And I think that's the first time you've really seen that out of Isaac McNeely. I think when he didn't have it against Arkansas or when he didn't have it against, I'm trying to remember, Indiana, I think, he just kind of fell into place and contributed in other areas. I don't think that was the case tonight, right? I mean, minus 26 plus minus. I understand that's not the end all be all, but look, I mean, you look across the stat line and you really got nothing. 1 rebound, 0 assists. Didn't touch the ball a lot tonight. Really was more out there on the offensive end to draw defenders away. On the defensive end, just a really poor job. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much more he could have done. He's 6'4", 200 and something, 205, 210 pounds, something like that, against Nate Ament, who's 6'11", and with a 7'5" wingspan. Like, that's really hard to defend, but you got to do something different. You got to, I think they kind of adjusted towards the end, threw Kaysen in there with Frew, but it was too little too late. I think you got to see some sort of different adjustment, and by God, I hope that that's not Vangelo Zugris going forward. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you had multiple bigs struggle with the pick and roll tonight, trying to find a way to stay with the big man rolling while also hedging, trying to blitz the ball screen where they could, and it was just a constant struggle for them from the beginning until the end. And Zugris, He had a couple of rebounds, had a couple assists where he screened and, led to a Conwell three, but you're right. He provided you really nothing. Interesting fun fact, though, was the only player with a positive plus minus at the end of the first half, which I thought was hilarious. Just a good old
Zoo.
one. Way to go, Zoo.
And he finished with a positive plus minus for the game.
Let's go.
One.
But that doesn't count the footwork and the number of steps that he took this evening trying to guard the pick and roll. But overall, I mean, I think that there was a number of challenges with the big men. And there's a couple of things I want to highlight here in the comments. Shout out to everyone watching the game or watching the show here, the State of Louisville Live on YouTube, on Twitter. If you're on Twitter and you want to get involved in the comment section, I still don't understand why we haven't integrated any form of commenting in these shows on Twitter when there are live shows literally all the time. And maybe we just don't have the right platform. Maybe we're the noobs here and we just don't get it. But hop on over to the YouTube side of things at the State of Lou, youtube.com at the State of Lou. You can find the live show there. Get in the comments section. There's a lot to talk about in this one. Another just strange adjustment at the 4 that I noticed late. Cason Pryor comes in early in the game. Barely plays. I think he's in there for 2-3 possessions, goes back out maybe 3 minutes max, I'd say, maybe 4. He doesn't come back into the game until maybe the 10-minute mark in the second half, maybe even a little bit less than that. And the adjustment with him was, let's have him be the rover in the press, where he's the chaser. I'm sorry. I love Cason Pryor. Last year, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great move. Cason's active. He's long. But after coming off of ACL surgery, trying to work his way back, for the first time this past game, he looks like a little bit more of himself. You mean to tell me you're going to throw him into the press as the chaser? Like, it was just a number of baffling things here.
Coming off the bench, sitting on the bench cold for over an hour.
For literally hadn't played since, the 10-minute mark of the first half, and comes in late in the second to be the chaser. You see Kanai barely plays. When he does play, just trying to find what his rhythm is in this team. And when you have the 4 spot struggling like they have, I'm surprised that Pat and company haven't gone to him and Cason more. But you saw tonight just some of the challenges of this staff, trying to find the right guys at the right time, making switches, playing a lot of lineups, having an injured player, trying to, account for his backup getting hurt. I get it. A lot of moving pieces tonight. But again, Press, you mentioned it. Tennessee just flat out defended Louisville. They outplayed, they outcoached. And I think Pat knew, if you listen to the broadcast and take the broadcast for what it's worth, but Pat called out how this Tennessee plays, that they'll run through screens, that they play football on the basketball court, all these things. So it's no surprise. It was strictly just a matter of lack of execution and the ability to handle with it. So let's go to this one. Actually, hold on. Let me go back up real quick. Sorry, I got distracted here. Here we go. I'm going to show this one here. Tonight's loss was reminiscent of the Creighton game in the tournament where we had Rain guarding a 6'8" guy, a.k.a. Jackson McAndrew, that just shot over him the whole time. You're exactly right. Some of the adjustments, and we just talked about this, some of the adjustments that Pat and company make, I don't understand. And again, I'm not a multi-million-dollar head coach. I'm not meant to understand that. That's next level here. That's why, again, made this comment last time. I'm a white guy that can barely jump over a phone book sitting at a podcast microphone. There's levels to this. And I think that Pat certainly understands his team and what he needs more, but I just don't understand time and time again, Nate Ament getting an NBA-style shot over Isaac McNeely with ease all night. I just don't get it. I'm surprised Tennessee didn't go to it more.
Yeah, man. I think that it was way too easy for Tennessee to switch whoever they wanted off on Isaac McNeely. And I don't think that Isaac McNeely innately is a bad defender, right? I just think that he's not a guy that can defend you with his athleticism. I think he's a guy who will defend you well with good technique and with sound fundamentals. I think that he's more of that guy. But when you put that, if you put that in any way, shape, or form, regardless of body type and size, in front of Nate Ament, who is a top 5, top 10 NBA draft pick, who is, Louisville fans know who Nate Ament is, right? I mean, we were right in on that recruitment. That's tough. And to not have an adjustment or a game plan for that, to me, is wild. I mean, Tennessee has a number of players that have that kind of size, though. I mean, it's not a Gillespie, it's Felix Okpara.
Yes. Ohio State transfer.
Yeah, number of just huge bodies on the floor that they can run at you. And for Louisville to just continue to run Javon Hadley and why am I blanking on his name? We just said it. Isaac McNeely.
Yeah.
At those guys doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you want a silver lining, I did think that Sananda Frew adjusted well defensively, especially in the second half. I thought it was a little bit more improved. But by the time Tennessee got up 10, 12 points, they were able to dictate the pace. Like it's just a numbers game. It's like running out the clock at the end of a football game.
Yeah, Louisville just started pressing, like literally and figuratively. They started to press defensively, which allowed Tennessee to score, attack, free throw line, get buckets, and then they also press by literally just taking really bad shots. And I'm going to push back on your point about Sananda Frew. Love the guy. I think he's had a great season so far. Tonight, not a great game for him. He finished with 4 points, 4 rebounds, and I believe he had 3 or 4 turnovers, including a couple of just drop the balls out of bounds type of deal. But 0 points in the second half. And if you mean improved by staying out of the way and not being a liability, then I will give you that he did improve in the second half.
No. Defensively, I thought the game plan was a little bit better for the bigs. But conversely, you have Tennessee come out and make 4 straight threes. They only hit 7 for the game, but damn, they all hit hard, right?
Right there. Yeah.
Right, exactly. They were all so timely. Most of them were at the end of the shot clock, meaning, Louisville defended well, and Tennessee just kept moving the ball and ended up, getting an open shot at the end of the shot clock. I think I would have to go back and look and recount, but I mean, really, that's if you want to take away all the other things, just the fact that Louisville was 7 for 34 from beyond the arc and Tennessee was 7 for 18, that right there is the difference in the game.
Go back and look at the numbers last year, Presley. The same thing. Exact thing. They hit the exact same number of threes, but Louisville, I think, shot 24 threes last year, I believe was the number.
Louisville shot 24 in the first half. They shot 39 total to Tennessee's 19. So again,
this year or last year?
Last year.
Okay. So, you shot a lot of threes.
Last year, they shot 39 threes and made 10. Tennessee shot 20 less. They shot 19 threes and made 10. Tonight, Tennessee 7 for 18, Louisville 7 for 34. So, almost as bad. Yeah. And I just think it comes down to Louisville has to find a way to not just stay in games, but be able to dictate the pace and be able to play their style of play against opponents like this. I don't know how many more Tennessees you're going to play this season. Duke is going to be a hell of a challenge. But, I mean, as far as physicality, style of play defensively, there's not 5 other teams better in the country at that. And that's specifically designed to beat a team like Louisville. I guess my question for you, Jacob, very quickly.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I want to counterpoint on that because they mentioned in the broadcast, again, take it for what it's worth, but the ACC is I think a lot better. Might arguably have one of the best players in college basketball in Caleb Wilson in North Carolina, who's going to give Louisville a ton of matchup problem at the 4. Same thing with Cam Boozer is going to give Louisville a ton of problems at the 4. Louisville is going to continue to run into teams. SMU, they have multiple guys that are at the 3 and 4 that are interchangeable, 6'8", 6'9", can shoot the ball, can defend, and then they still have the big guy out of Turkey. What was his last name? Yitaglu, whatever. So they've got, and Jerome Pierre is one of their best guards in the country. They've got Boopie Miller. I mean, there's teams. Even Cal has got dudes. There's a lot of teams that are going to give Louisville fits athletically if they cannot figure out how to guard that 3 and 4 position. And figure out how to counterbalance that throughout the year. This is not the ACC where they're going to get weeks of bad games. Like, there are going to be challenges almost each and every week, including with, you mentioned Duke. Cal comes up here in a week and a half on the 30th, and that's a real challenge. I think Cal is 9-2 right now. Now, I'll take it for what it's worth because it's early in the season, but Mark Matson got them boys ready to play, man, and it's going to be a challenge across the conference if you can't figure out how to play up against more athletic, physical teams. I mean, it's just that's the way it's going to be.
Yep. I'm with you 100%. And look, I mean, I think that if you want a coaching staff that's going to be open to making adjustments, I think that you're in the right place. But they're going to have to be made quickly, and fans are going to have to be ready to watch Louisville try to adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
I think that Sananda Frew has the goods, right? Like, I think that he has the tools to be successful in this league this season. But I think that you have to game plan around that a little bit better, right? Like, offensively, nice mic drop, by the way. That was incredibly loud. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I hit my watch on the side of this boom, on the mic boom, and for whatever
Can't do
reason,
that.
no, the mic picks up every sound that exists in this house. Like
It does. Yeah, I hear
going
Liam. I hear Liam snoring right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, offensively, Sananda Frew has to have more than 3 field goal attempts. I mean, you got him down on in the low post late in the shot clock, and my man posted up a Tennessee defender, and he went to work. He cooked.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you talking about the one where he scored?
Yeah, he backed a guy down and went across his right side, and I mean, it was
he did the little scoop layup.
Yeah, a little easy scoop layup bucket. In games like this, you got to want to see more of that, right? And then you got to figure out what's going to happen at the 4. I know that this is kind of going back to the previous point that we spoke about, but look, Javon Hadley, we know that he's extremely gifted, extremely talented, plays within himself, is going to give you whatever is needed, but in games like this, he's got to come more ready. And then I think the staff has to be willing to roll with Kaysen and Kanai and see what that's all about and see what they can contribute, right? I mean, Kaysen, to your point, Jacob, played 8 total minutes tonight. Is not playing like the first half of either half for whatever reason in the last few games. And then Kanai, he's just got to we got to figure out what Kanai's identity is. He's a guy that when he's on. But I mean, you look across the stat line, he played 13 minutes tonight. He was -9 in the plus minus. 0 for 2 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. 0 rebounds.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
0 rebounds from Kanai, 1 turnover, 1 steal. That's not acceptable. I don't care. More. I don't care what name's on the back of the jersey, or I don't care who it is playing at that spot. You got to have more. Kaysen Pryor plays 8 minutes. 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. 0 rebounds. So that's 21 minutes from guys at the 4 spot with 0 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 turnovers. Yeah, that's not acceptable.
You need more guys out there that aren't just going out there and getting their cardio numbers in. Like, I mean, that's cardio for several of these guys. And
dude, that's Danilo Jovanovic. That is Danilo Jovanovic.
The Tony Snell graphic outside of the assist, outside of the, made garbage time bucket that cuts the lead to 42, whatever the case is, like, that's all there. I want to go to the comments again here because I think this is great. Shout out to everyone that's jumping in over here on the YouTube side. Shout out to everyone listening, watching on the Twitter side. It's a rough night for Louisville. Hate to get smacked around. Hate to have the SEC, record now sitting at 1-2. I love the 1 that you got, but the 2 that you got are rough. They're rough. And I asked the question on Twitter: is this a trend? And we'll get to that in a second. But here's the juxtaposition between you and I tonight. I mentioned at the top of the show that I thought we were going to disagree, right? And that I thought we were going to have different opinions on this. Okay, so here's your train of thinking, if I had to guess from a comment here. Okay, it says, "Let's all take a breath. Michael frees some of these things up. Yes, the Cards have to be more physical, not allow teams to push them around. This is still early on. I still think that they will get right." That's you. Your positivity. You're rolling in. It's just a late. It's a game in December on the road in a tough environment. Yes, it's a second game, but hey, there is still time.
Without your drink stir, without your leading scorer, leading assist getter, playmaker, right? Top 5 NBA draft pick. Seems like a big deal to me. I don't know.
Now, here's where I'm at. Okay. Now, bear with me, guys. I promise. I am not a negative Nancy all the time. Okay. I am sometimes. Okay. You find me in the right mood, and I'll be a negative Nancy. Tonight, to watch the game, there are certain moments where the overreactor in me starts to question some of these victories, some of these games, some of the shooting numbers, how good this team is, how much the strategy can hold up. Here's where I'm at, Russ. This is the juxtaposition we're in tonight. this is where I'm sitting. I'm on the other side of the aisle on this one. Okay, and normally
Have we fact checked that?
I did go back and fact check that. You have 2 this year in IU and Kentucky, and then you had a win against Clemson last year in the ACC title when Clemson was the 10th ranked team in the country.
What are these rankings? I mean, IU was ranked at the time.
Yes,
I don't think they are now.
Ranked at the time.
I mean, that's
ranked at the time.
That is just
you're ranked when you're playing.
That's a statistic that exists, but it's kind of like
it does exist. But I mean, you judge football coaches on the same statistic. You judge coaches on how many top 25 wins do they have. Now it's shifting to quad 1 most of the time. Sure. My point is exactly what that is. There is a trend now. Let's just look at it this year. The two teams are differently. Let's just look at it this year. When you look at Arkansas and when you look at Tennessee, there's a lot of eerily similar statistics in that game. Louisville got out rebounded pretty significantly in both of those games. Louisville shot significantly bad from the 3-point line. They shot 37 threes in one and 30 in another. They had 8 and 6 respectively. In the game tonight, we saw the lack of adjustments. Against Creighton, we saw the lack of adjustments. We've seen blown leads. We've seen a little bit of everything. Now, again, if we're just looking at this year, there is a larger sample size that says that this is a top 10 team, not even top 15, top 10 team. That this is a top, when they can play at their pace, which coming into the game was top, I believe, 11th in the country in terms of the seconds per possession. Louisville was leading the country in a lot of statistics around usage rates with low turnovers to assist margins and all these numbers that really tell you that they're a damn good team, right? But, and I just say but for tonight because there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of groundwork to be laid and a lot of opportunity to bounce back and for me to look like an idiot in a couple of weeks. And that's fair. I'll look like an idiot. But the trends are scary because when you play in a conference that is vastly improved from where it was a year ago, you heard tonight, the thought around 6 to 8 teams in the tournament. I almost did the 6-7 thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, I will do it 6-7. But it's just alarming early on. Now you've taken care of business. You've beaten IU, you beat Kentucky, you beat Memphis, beat Cincinnati. You've beaten these teams. Now the 2 that you've lost are as I mentioned concerning, and there's more opportunity to go out there and get more wins. You beat Duke, and this will all go away. We won't be having this conversation anymore. But I just am tonight, following that performance, a little concerned about what the ceiling of this team can be with some of the limitations in the front court particularly. This back court is solid. Their worst thing that they're going to do on any given night is they're just going to have a bad shooting night. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the worst. That's the worst thing no matter what happens this season. That backcourt of Woolley, Brown, Conwell, and Rogers are going to, for the most part, take really good care of the basketball. And they're going to score the basketball. The worst thing they can do is not shoot well. The front court, the worst thing they can do is get absolutely dominated, give up 48 points in the paint, and not be able to stop a bloody nose. And that changes that would change any team, but that's what changes the outcome of how this team plays in Pat's system.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all valid. And look, I think there's reason for concern. I think the reason that I will never get used to this. I understand it's just the day and age we live in, and it is what it is. We'll turn on the TV in the morning, and Stephen A. Smith's going to be having an aneurysm about something that doesn't matter. Like the Cowboys are picking 7th instead of 6th. Like just some BS that doesn't matter, right?
Right.
It's just the world that we live in. When I get on social media or when I check my phone, right, I had some variation at least 10, 12 times today throughout the day of I'm so juiced for the game tonight. This is like, for whatever reason, the Tennessee game was getting people up more than the Kentucky game. And I think part of it is a get back from last year. I think part of it is a chance to get a really solid quad 1 win on the road. I think part of it's, having played, Memphis and Indiana, teams that weren't quite as good as we thought they were, and this is a real litmus test. I think a lot of that was what it was. But then between the traffic and everything, by the time I get home and I'm getting settled in, the reaction to the first 10 minutes of the game is like, this is the NCAA tournament, and also your mom got shot at the same time. But that's what the reaction is. And I'm like, I understand, guy, that you put up on the screen. Like, just calm the F down for just a second, because this is part of the journey, right? You're on the road at Tennessee. You lose your starting point guard mere minutes before the game. Kobe Rogers gets freaking ninja kicked in the head while he's on the floor after he got tackled, and fans are booing. Which, by the way, Tennessee fans, fuck you for doing that. That's bullshit. That you got a guy laying on the floor, probably concussed, and fans are boo, boo. Like,
meanwhile, they have a player in the second half who gets like ping ponged around and gets his head hit twice. He has to go out, put a little tissue on it. Yeah, shut up, Tennessee fans. I can't stand that, man.
Is what it is. Yeah, last year going out of the game, I thought I was being funny and, talking to Tennessee fans. Hey, we all hate Kentucky, right? And they're like, fuck you, get out of your own arena. Like, Tennessee fans are the worst. I'm sorry. Like, deserve that. Yeah. Oh, I have never antagonized anyone ever. I don't know what you're talking about.
No one's ever accused you of that before. Never. And you've never nearly been physically assaulted on the KFC Yum Center Plaza because of it. Never.
It was worth it. It was
worth it. You're right, but you mentioned Memphis and Indiana. Throw Kentucky into that mix of teams that we just aren't as good as we thought they were, which is why I go back to that record of, and I've seen some discourse online, Presley. But you can't argue, you cannot. And again, we're looking at this year, we're looking at tonight. You cannot argue against that. You can't.
Yeah. I mean,
against that, there's trends that show against better teams, top 25 teams. When you go out and you make the comment that you're not ducking any smoke, you better get your team to show up and not get ran through like they did tonight. Pause.
Right. So there's two things that I want to just kind of add to this, because I think they kind of go along with my train of thought, and will kind of dictate the narrative of what the rest of the season is. Number one, it's Louisville's style of play, right? When you go back to the commonalities between Louisville's four most recent losses, right? So the four most recent losses are two, in reverse order: Tennessee, Arkansas, Creighton, and Duke. What do all those teams have in common? They're bigger, probably more athletic, got more dudes.
My dead body is Creighton more athletic than Louisville. They started a guy named Jackson McAndrew, for the love of God, Presley. Okay, so maybe they did have Jemiah Neal was athletic as hell, but their point guard was a 28-year-old accountant, man. I mean, they beat us because they just outplayed us and outcoached us.
Whoever the guy was that was the Jackson. I don't know who it was. The guy that scored like 35 points and hit every buzzer-beating mid-range shot that's ever existed.
Him and Kalkbrenner, but yeah, it was McAndrew.
But all of those games have the exact same storyline, right? Louisville comes in trying to do their thing. They cannot assert their will on the opponent. They cannot speed the game up. They cannot play their play. And on top of that, the opponent is mucking things up, taking them out of their rhythm, and not allowing them to get into what they want to do. And Louisville has to adjust, and they're not able to, at least not quickly enough, right? We saw against Arkansas, late you cut the lead to 4 or 5. Against Tennessee, it's more than respectable at halftime, and you come out with seemingly a good game plan, but then, ultimately get blown out of the water. Against, Arkansas, it felt like this. It just feels like you're playing the same team in all those games. Every other game. And this year, the 2025th year of our Lord, Louisville has won every other game besides those. And so there's a very, very similar commonality between all those games, and that common thread is that the opponent was simply bigger than you, and they got ahead, and they were able to slow it down. The end of that Creighton game was like just nails on a chalkboard, right? Because there's nothing you can do. It's like, I'm a soccer dad now, right? When the parents on our team get pissed, because I don't know if you know a little bit about soccer. I know I've been to a few games with you. But once a team gets up 1-0, 2-0, they hold on to the ball. There's a soccer term for it. If you know it, comment it down there. But basically, you change your style of play so that the other team that wants to go on the offensive can't do that. They just handcuff you, cripple you to the point where you will never be able to catch up. You'll never be able to Miracle on Main, Louisville Marquette it, because they will simply not allow you to do it. I just think that's the common theme. Unless you hit threes, and that bleeds into my second point. There were a lot of comments tonight from the knuckleheads that were. I mean, was that game on the SEC network? I'm sorry, Jacob. Like, I'm not one to comment on this stuff, right? Everybody can have their opinions, but look, it was awful. And part of the conversation was, well, this is not winning. This is like, it's cute what Pat Kelsey is doing, right? The Moneyball thing, the Moneyball method is nice, and it'll win you some games, but it's not going to win you championships. This isn't championship basketball. This isn't the style of play that wins you games. I'd say the Golden State Warriors beg to differ. I'd say that most teams in the NBA that have been successful over the last 10, 15 years would beg to differ. I think that Louisville is ahead of the curve in the college game, and as the types of players that you see coming through start to age up and the game starts to adjust, I think Louisville's going to be ahead of the curve just like they are in so many different facets. But
yeah,
to their point, I think there's something to be said in response to the constant conversation tonight about, well, Louisville just takes too many threes. Nobody's ever won a national championship shooting more threes than twos. That's never been a thing. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people haven't won a national championship doing things in a lot of different ways. Just because Louisville is breaking the mold in that sense, like in Alabama, easy comparison, right? Like some of these other up and coming teams that are running high paced offenses and shooting a lot of threes and open twos. I don't jive with that. I don't jive with the whole there's no openness. There's no notion. There's this narrative being painted by college basketball media that Louisville style play is not conducive to winning championship style games. And I think that's bullshit, Jacob. I think that that's not. I think that statistically speaking, like if you take just logic would dictate if you're taking and making open threes at higher than 32 to 33%, you're gonna have a damn good chance of winning every game that you play. Yeah. Louisville just did not do that tonight.
Yeah, well, when your system is to live and die by two shots, and that's the layup dunk and the 3-point shot, and you shoot 7 of 37 from the 3-point line, and you shoot 22 of 58 from the field to take away your 3-point shooting there. Not a great number, not a very high number of 2-point shots, not a very good percentage. You're going to lose that
24
game 9 out of 10 times. You're going to lose 15, that game 9 out of 10 times.
15 for 24 from 2-point range. Am I right on that?
That sounds about right. And then Tennessee would be they have 18 points from the 3-point or from the free throw line. Louisville only had 11. So you take away that, Louisville and Tennessee hit the same number of 3-point shots, and there's the difference in the game. And a lot of that came off of combination of points in the paint, of second chance points, of whatever stat you want to call it. What I can tell you is, Presley, you're right. There is a lot of innovation that happens in the game of basketball, and it goes in waves. You go from the evolution of losing the big man to now the big man is the focal point for teams like the Nuggets. And for you see a guy like Derek Queen going from Maryland to the NBA looking like a little Jokic. Like there is an evolution that happens in the NBA. The Warriors did that. The Cavs and the Heat did that. You saw it over time, and I think that it comes in waves in college basketball too. But at the end of the day, while Louisville has a national championship caliber set of guards, they do not have a second weekend set of front court players at this point, at least of how we've seen. And the good news is the season is not over tomorrow. There's a lot of basketball to be played, and there's an opportunity for Javon Hadley, Cason Pryor to get healthy, to get back into his feet underneath him, for Kanai to maybe find a role, for Ali to find what games is he comfortable in, what games is he situationally going to be able to be usable. And I think that that's how you get better, and that's how you get this team to where it needs to be, because at the end of the day, you can live by the three and die by the three and the inside, the twos from dunks and layups. But at some point, you're going to need to be able to go to a guy to score inside with his back to the basket. And that is the challenge for this team. And for defensively for this team is stopping the 2-point shot, and then being able to defend the physical caliber big man like we saw with Okpara tonight, the guys that can block shots, rim run. That's a real challenge for Louisville, and I think that's going to be the difference in how this team improves and goes forward and how they get better. And the good news is that bad news could also be, it could be either way. I guess we'll find out, Press, is that over the next couple of weeks, not only will Louisville have The calendar turned to 2026. Not only will Louisville go from non-conference to conference play, Louisville will get started very quickly with things with January 6th, I believe. Yeah, with Duke. So you're talking about over the course of the next couple of weeks, you have road games at Cal and Stanford on the 30th and the 2nd. That's going to be tough. Stanford's not a great team, not bad, but you go on the road on the West Coast trip. You got to play a Cal team that is athletic and got a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things. And then you come home, and what's your reward for that? Oh, you get number 3 Duke. And that environment on that Tuesday night, January 6th, is going to be absolutely rocking, man. It's going to be the most rocking environment we've seen since the White House steps in 2000.
God damn it, you beat me to it. That was fantastic execution.
I fucked it up by the freaking year, man. Damn it. But, it's God, I'm embarrassing myself that I missed it.
Unbelievable.
But my point being is that Louisville's got a chance to continue to get back in the gym, get better, work on the front court, and get. I think the real key to this, as much as you got to keep Sonny Frew, you got to keep bringing him along, get him more engaged, get him to be that. What I said last episode is to be the third wheel to Conwell and Michael Brown Jr. You really need him to be that next guy. Woolley was that guy tonight. We didn't talk about Woolley enough. Fantastic game for him tonight.
Yeah.
Shooting 3. Needed more, unfortunately. But I think that there's some lineup opportunities, ways for Louisville to figure it out. But for me, it's Kenai. You got to figure out Kenai. How can you unlock him back into what you saw the first couple of games of this season? And even what you saw when he came in against Memphis. He has, in 6 possessions, he's got a dunk, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and a charge. It's just like that's the Kenai we need in the game, a difference maker, even if it's not scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Yeah, I want to know what it is that kind of leads to that, the ups and downs with a player like that. It's just tough. I think it's so matchup oriented oftentimes, and I mean, part of me wonders if at least a little bit of this falls on the guard play. I know that might sound sacrilege, right? I mean, tonight you get 22 from Ryan Conwell, 19 from Adrian Woolley. But I mean, look, that's 22 and 19 on 6 for 21 shooting from 3-point range, just from 2 players alone. On top of that, Ryan Conwell has 1 assist. Adrian Woolley has 1 assist. They combined for 7 turnovers. So you have basically 15 empty possessions in a sense that you don't score, and the possession ends with a missed 3. Well, I don't know if the possession ends, but the shot clock is resetting in some form with the missed 3. And then you have 2 assists to 7 turnovers. That's not acceptable at all, regardless of how well they played and how they, their scoring, yes, kind of in a sense kept Louisville, humming along a little bit in certain parts of the game. But, I mean, the reality is those are the guys that are stirring the drink right now for you. Mm-hmm. If they're not getting into the lane, if they're not creating for others, then that means the offense is stopping with them, and that's also an issue. So while, I think at least part of it is if you look back on Kaysen and Kenai kind of going off in the last game and then nothing happens this game. Mm-hmm. While that is unacceptable, don't get me wrong, neither one of them had a rebound. That's awful. You still have to accept the fact that this is on your guard play as well by not getting your teammates involved. Sananda Frew needs to have more than 3 shot attempts in a game. Yeah. There needs to be more continuity in games like this. And I think oftentimes, just like in the Arkansas game, the ball stopped with them and it ended up in a contested 3 or a turnover. And that's not going to win you games.
No, you're spot on, and it's on nights like tonight with the turnovers, a lot of it is trying to press, make things happen, dribbling the ball off your foot, stepping out of bounds, throwing a bad pass, not catching the ball. And I agree with you. Frew's got to be more assertive on his own right, calling for the ball. I think that he plays very much a European style game where, he's setting screens and rolling and really just trying to be kind of active and around the rim and not really demanding the ball facing up, trying to score. But when he does, that move was incredibly sexy. Like that move
Yeah.
and the layup finish was exactly what you want to see. And we've seen the dunks week after week. We need more. We need a full 25-minute performance from Frew where he gets a double-double and he dominates start to finish, because you cannot have a night where he scores 4 points, has 4 rebounds, and walks away with 3 or 4 turnovers. You just cannot. That is all canceling each other out. None of that is positive. None of that is positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really tonight, I thought that outside of Ryan Conwell shooting the ball for a little bit and Adrian Woolley early this game, nobody played well. Nobody stood out. Nobody did what was in the game plan or scouting report. Nobody matched up and the intensity of the opponent across from them at their position. You saw Akpara blocking shots left and right and flexing and just having a lot of energy. I did love seeing the guys run to pick up their teammates, but outside of that, it was just kind of a dud. So I think that it's one of those games where you can learn from it, you can move on. And you get a chance on Saturday night to bounce back, or sorry, Saturday afternoon at noon at the Yum Center against Montana. I'm going to send you something in the chat here. I want you to pronounce for me the name of this school. If you go into the studio chat, you'll see this. This is Montana's most recent opponent, Presley. This is Montana is a Division I basketball team. This team is not. Their opponent scored 46 points in this game. How would you pronounce that team name?
Salish Kootenai. That's
Salish
easy.
Kootenai.
Give me a hard one. That's what she said.
Do you know anything about this Pablo, Montana, and this college, which seems to be located at the Flathead Reservation? The Flathead Indian Reservation. Do you know anything about this across Highway 93?
I may know a thing or two about the Highway 93 comings and goings.
And bison guy.
Not a big bison guy. No, they are
Katina bisons.
Yeah, well, I mean, this all checks out, right? Like I was gonna say, it sounds very much like it's from a Native American reservation, where some young gentlemen are getting some work in on a very remote basketball court. Like maybe this is where the picture of the two guys like with the rollaway basketball goal on the side of the mountain. And one guy's posting the other up. Yeah, I think that's
Salish Kootenai is all
I'm pretty sure that was at Salish Kootenai.
It was 100% at Salish Kootenai. You face a Montana team this weekend on Saturday at noon at KFC.
The Grizz.
It's as low as $9 right now. You can get in for Montana. Their wins this season come against Northwest Indian, Ottawa, North Dakota, and Salish Kootenai. Sorry, I did skip over. They did beat UNLV and Cal Poly. Excuse me. The games against Power 4 opponents against Stanford, they lost that one 91-68, and then they lost to Texas A&M. That game was close, only a 5-point loss in that one. So this is a Montana team that might, surprise some folks if Louisville comes out not, ready to be on the floor on a Saturday morning at noon, looking like they're still dealing with it. You know what they're going to run into? They're going to run into Montana's leading scorer. Presley, do you know what his name is?
Salish Kootenai the second.
No, that's a good guess. I think that this is a pretty badass name. His name is Money Williams. He's money. He's just money.
Try, baby. He's money. Good for what? About 12 points a game?
19.5 points per game.
Jeez.
He's shooting 39% from three, playing 30 minutes per game. That's pretty efficient numbers, shooting 51% from the three. He does turn the ball over at a pretty high clip, but he averages a team high 6.4 assists. He is also in the top 3 or 4 on his team in rebounding, so that's a guy that's capable of doing a lot of things. Outside of that, to be quite honest with you, I know that there's a lot to get into and what you want to see. I'm not an expert on the Montana Grizzlies roster. Their next best scorer is Brooklyn Hicks, and that's where we'll stop that one. Biggest thing you want to see Saturday, though, against Montana, and then we'll get out of here.
Oh, shit. I want to see everybody stay healthy and
you want to see Salish Kootenai get out there and get after it.
Well, I mean, by proxy, Salish Kootenai is only 50 points worse than Texas A&M.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Look, man, I know it sounds silly, but I want to see, continuity improve. Like my guess would be that, we're talking a lot about Kaysen and Kanai, and they'll probably both come off the bench and go for 10-5 or something like that, right? But
Yeah,
I
that
just
sounds about right.
I want to see some more continuity being established so that when the time comes and you're on the road, I'm assuming they're going out and staying out there for New Year's in California. When you're at Cal, when you're at Stanford, and then coming back home for Duke. The hope would be that you're ready to roll, and I mean that 3-game series right there should concern everyone based on what we saw tonight. I think that as optimistic as I've been, I'm not crazy excited about the future, thinking about the fact that you're playing 3 of your, you have a bye game, and then the next 3 games are against teams that are bigger than you. You're going to have to see some improvement. I think that things will get a little bit deviate back towards the norm when Michael Brown is back, when Kobe Rogers is back. 2 guys that are giving you roughly 35, 40 minutes a game. No, more than that, 45, 50 minutes a game combined. When they're back in the fold, that's going to be important, obviously. But no, I mean, I think that our fears are coming true a little bit, in the sense that the front court has not been ready for the toughest opponent so far this season, and that's going to have to be corrected, or else you're going to be falling in line with that 7-10 seed line once again, and that's not what the expectations were coming into the season. I think that you got to take 3 out of the next 4, and the obvious answer is that you beat Montana, Cal, and Stanford rather than taking down the Beast and Duke. So
yeah, and looking out, like I said, you mentioned Cal. Cal's an interesting team. They're going to be a team that doesn't necessarily play big in terms of a lineup. They play John Camden is their 4-man. They've got Chris Bell, not our Chris Bell, but former Syracuse Chris Bell out there. And then here's a name for you, Justin Pippen. You know who his dad is?
Would it be one Scott?
It would be Sir
Scott Pippen.
Scott Pippen.
What's his middle name? Edwin?
Yeah, it's Edwin. I love when guys in the transfer portal finally find their home and their fit. Day Ames had bounced around at a couple of schools, played at Virginia, I believe, last year, but is their leading scorer, 18 points a game. Cal's got 4 double-digit scores. That'll be a tough one. Stanford lost a lot of their team, but they've got good coaching out there and a good system. We saw what they did with Maxine Reynaud, and how physical they could make games against Louisville last year. That's really late in the year, 2 games where you're like, man, Louisville had to come with it physicality wise to win those games. And then of course we mentioned the aforementioned Duke on the 6th at the Sinclair will be a rocking environment. I can only imagine what they'll do, promotion wise, or how they'll get folks out there, and it's Duke, so you won't even have to. It'll be a top 2-3 team at that point. But Louisville's got their tests really ahead of them, and I think if you walk away from that road trip and you split 1-1, you come back and lose to Duke, or worse, say you lose all 3, or whatever the case is, I think you have a lot of questions. Now if you win all 3, now we're really talking, and now we're back on track to what we thought this team was. You beat a Duke team, you get that signature win for Pat Kelsey, and then you go on and you build momentum off of it. So you're at a real point, a fork in the road here in your season, and what you are and what you will be. And you get Montana this weekend. Now, listen, again, Money Williams will come in here and he'll show you money ball. Okay, so you gotta
make it rain.
Make it rain.
Money, exactly. Make it rain, baby.
That's right. But he's gonna be upset Trixie's isn't open anymore. He can't take money. Can't go.
Well, the Rustic Frog is holding this shit down. Okay, don't worry about that.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? No, that's not the point. Point being, Saturday at Montana, against Montana, Louisville just needs to bounce back, get right, get the guys back involved, get in the right headspace, and then as you go to your West Coast trip, get ready to take care of business out there. Build some camaraderie. It'll be probably a nice road trip. New Year's Eve, I assume. New Year's out there, all that stuff will be great. So a lot of opportunity for us, but they got to take care of it. So there's also a lot of opportunity for you, whether it be tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, the holidays, to get yourself some Surfside. There's also some opportunity for you to get yourself to Main Event and get over there and play some skee ball, a little virtual reality, Dance Dance Revolution, whatever your heart desires, maybe a little bowling or ropes course. They've got it all over there. We'll be out there next week for the Boca Raton Bowl. Presley may or may not be there. We'll see.
Yeah. I am on a mission to
money-making mission.
I'm on a money-making mission. But I think if things align, we will be taking some beans to Boca Raton.
Deliver those beans.
Delivering beans. Yeah, so I want to be. I have this vision, this very clear vision in my head. It's a very convoluted vision, but that I will be. I'll have my feet propped up on the rail, in the first row, eating a bowl of baked beans, in Boca Raton, Florida. You see how I'm sweating right now because it's. The upstairs in my house is way too hot. The downstairs is too cold. The upstairs is too hot. Any HVAC people up in here, let me know what's going on in my house. But I'm thinking I'm gonna be sweating just like this at about 3:35 on a Tuesday afternoon with my feet propped up, eating some smoked hickory baked beans at the Bush's bowl of beans, watching some Toledo Rockets football, baby.
That's right, man. That's exactly right.
My lovely wife loves hearing
all right. Here's what
about me arriving back at my home like 2 hours before our Christmas festivities begin. She loves hearing about that.
I'm sure she does. We got to figure out and devise a strategy, and maybe they will go for this because Keith and Vince they're up for whatever when it comes to eating foods that are questionable. But sure. I think for the watch party, those two just got to eat a can of beans. Like whoever eats the full can first gets some form of a prize. I don't know what it is.
Do any of you guys, and if you're listening, if we could borrow one, maybe like the old school camper, like wheel out this little thing. I might have one somewhere in my garage. You wheel out the little, gaslit, camping, and then you put the can of beans on there. What if they're just both sitting there at Main Event with the freaking
cooking up some beans,
cooking some beans and eating cold out of the can?
Man, just like you do, man. You're not gonna have anything to cook in that. You just got to eat the beans raw, man. Eat the bean raw. Is what people say.
That's a weird way to say it. I looked through all the TSA guidelines. Unless I check a bag, there's no way for me to take beans to Florida.
State of Louisville will pay for your one. You listen. You cannot put anything else in that checked bag, but one
can of beans,
and it needs to be like a disposable suitcase. You can't come home with it.
Wait, so
a fold-up suitcase.
I'm going to do some research. For people who take beans on carry-ons, let me know how you do it.
Yeah, if you're a bean pusher and you get through TSA with your beans, let us know, man. That's a crucial skill.
I'm pretty sure if you wrap it up, as long as you don't make it look like it's like a kilo of Coke or something, you just wrap it up really good.
Man. I gotta go.
Just tell them. I got to go to Bush's Bowl of Beans. This is the only way. I'm not buying a ticket, Jacob.
I got to deliver the beans.
I have to deliver the beans.
You got down there and your beans were no longer accepted because it's only the first 2,000 people.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Do you think that, first of all, do you think there will be 2,000 people that go to the
Yes.
game?
Yes.
There will be, okay.
Yeah. They're all going to be really old and they're going to have super leathery skin.
Here's my question: do you think that there's a lot of people in Boca Raton that are really eating Bush's baked beans? Just asking that question. They don't strike me as the audience that would really go after baked beans. I'm thinking clearly more kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of more of an elegant side item.
Corn on the cob,
like white corn or cream corn. White. You never had white corn? White corn is fire, man.
I've had white corn.
Like green beans that are in the actual stalk. They're having they're elevated side eaters where
green beans are an elevated side
depending on how you cook them. They're certainly more elevated than Bush's baked beans out of a can.
Dude, we could have this bean convo all day.
Yeah, that's what we'll be doing on Tuesday at Main Event. Bean Convo all day, traveling with the Bean, talking about the Bean, eating the Bean. That's what we'll be doing Tuesday as Louisville takes on Toledo. We'll be live at Main Event for the game at 2 o'clock. Coverage probably about an hour before, 30 minutes before, right here on YouTube at the State of Louisville with Vince Lococo and producer Keith Arutoff there. So, closing thoughts. This sucks. I hate going to bed at 11 o'clock. I hate going to bed at 11 o'clock anyways. I'm usually like a 9:30 guy. So now I got to go to bed at 11 o'clock and I'm pissed off. And you know, the holiday break is not here yet. We're still just a little bit short of it. So, you know, I'm hoping tomorrow I'm going to wake up with more of a Bean mentality and get back after it.
You got to get back to being the best.
Being the right. I want to being the best.
I don't have anything other than, I mean, beat the Grizz. I like what's a Grizzly like? I just keep thinking of like Grizzly long cut. Like, should I just throw in just like a Grizzly long cut and just see how long I can keep it in there during the Grizz game? Like, I feel like I got to do something now every time I'm
fire.
Right? Like, I feel like, I don't know.
How many cans of Grizzly wintergreen can you go through in one game? Yeah, I mean, at this point, why not, man? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I quit Zens, so
can you have?
I think I could go through like half a can of like actual chewing tobacco.
Sitting there like this. Yeah. Oh, food.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Gross. All right, well, let's get out of here on that. I'm Jacob Lane. This is Presley Meyer. We are the State of Louisville Live, presented by Surfside and Main Event. We will see you over the next couple of days. We'll probably have a starting 502 episode. If you didn't catch this live, check it out. If you're watching,
catch it at some other time.
Later on, it's great to meet you. Subscribe right here below us.
Good to see you
on YouTube. Starting 502, anywhere you get your podcast from. Jacob Lane, Presley Meyer. Let's get out of here.